we were just talking to Colin Thompson earlier this week on Monday about how everything was going so well and that, yes, everything was kind of, shut down, but they were treating everybody very well. And then the news today came down essentially that the XFL has ceased operations, and not only ceasing operations, that there is essentially no plans for it to come back next season. That according to reports at ESPN.com. But Colin Thompson played for the Tampa Vipers, also local guy. Of course, you've heard him on many of our platforms here on 97.3 ESPN. He will be back home in the fall helping out the Lower Cape May Caper Tigers football program, and he is now with us here on the Buck Honda Hotline. Now, I don't know from the time I texted you today if you have any new information, but it sounds as if there are no plans to return next year. As you as a player, have you heard that?
Well, I have not heard it officially. Mike, again, thanks for having me on, and it's great to be back with you guys. I have not heard it officially to an extent from the XFL, but we did receive an email that right now operations have ceased to exist. And what I'm hearing from my agent, Warren Schmidt and Paul Sheehy from ProStar Sports, they're based out of the PA and the Philly and Denver area, is that they have gotten rid of the majority of the XFL, right? The presidents, everybody associated with each team, but there's still a core of people in the WWE and now the XFL front office up in Connecticut that are working to keep the XFL alive. So if it's going to come back, there's already some wheels. It's moving in the right direction a little bit, but I don't know from what I'm reading and then from what I'm hearing if it's coming back, and that's confirmed 100%. So it's such a shame because it was such a special product, and it did a lot. It put a lot of really smart football people from medical to players to coaches to operations to, it boosted the economies in all these little areas that we played in. It gave fans something to root for football-wise in the springtime. Obviously, the product on TV was successful. I thought people really enjoyed that experience from what I hear. So it's just a shame overall. But something new, Mike, it's pretty much that everybody's been let go from players to staff members, and there's a small group kind of keeping the XFL, floating on the top of the water. But really, it's not looking too promising.
Right. Originally, when the XFL announced that the season was going to be ending because of the coronavirus, it had said, it almost, was kind of pounding its chest that, hey, we will be back next season. And now that no longer appears to be the case. Several XFL employees are confirming that the whole staff has been laid off during a conference call. Apparently, it was a very quick 10-minute call that the commissioner, Oliver Luck, apparently didn't even speak on. No word whether he's still left with the league or not. But, I guess, as you have said, look, this was a 3-year thing. They have the money to do it. But this coronavirus, I guess, kind of threw their whole, budget off.
Yeah, you had Johnny Mack on earlier. He's like, even though the XFL did great, I saw someone say that this is the best startup league ever. And I probably have to agree. I mean, you saw what it was on TV. You just saw the overall product was first class. As a player, it was first class. The coaches had no complaints whatsoever. The people that actually are going to put the product in the field loved it, which is key, right? The fans loved it. Everybody loved it. And then you see what happened, like John said. Even the XFL, which is a really successful startup, can't overcome this coronavirus. It really is a shame. And it's in the budget to last for 3 years, but to pay people like they did in a first-class manner, that's the term first-class I've used for everything, to pay people, to pay us. I was getting paid all the way through May. I mean, that's unheard of in any sport, to get paid while you're not playing. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, you get paid game per game. There's game checks. You don't get paid in the off season. It's not like a normal salary that someone gets. So to pay people, to pay your athletic trainers, to pay coaches that aren't even coaching and playing, they just couldn't really, I guess, I'm assuming couldn't handle that, and that's why we're talking today.
Yeah, and as you said, it hasn't been official yet, but there's a lot of reports that that's kind of what everybody's hearing is that they're essentially saying, like, look, this is not happening, we're not going to play again. And, I guess one of the things you kind of talked about at Wednesday, which was how first class everything was. You guys traveled, where you stayed, how everything was handled. I mean, you have been in NFL camps. You have traveled with NFL teams. You played in the AAF. How would you, compare your short time in the XFL with those?
Well, I'd say it's on par with the NFL. I mean, obviously the money was the same. And maybe the support staffs weren't as big, right? The NFL has hundreds of employees, if not thousands, right? Just in there, each hub that runs everything they do, from tickets to sales to nutrition to everything. Presidents, CEOs. So for a small operation, what we had, it was first class. I've used that word a ton, and I just think it fits it perfectly. It really has. We had 2 meals a day. We traveled chartered planes. They paid for our hotel. We had our own facility, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but that is hard to find, where you have a weight room, meeting rooms, and grass fields that aren't being used in the springtime. That's a challenge. So to have everything in your own building, to operate out of one building is very, very rare. Mm-hmm. I did it in the AAF in the old Cray Lady there in Birmingham, Alabama, and that was interesting and a great story, and it's definitely a crazy chapter in my life. And then to do this in Tampa, we were at an old Red Spring training, and in Plant City, right where Lakeland. I heard you talking to Pete about the Lakeland Tigers. We're right there. And we were in old Red Spring training, and we were in the outfield of all that. We had grass fields, a pond in between all of our fields. I mean, an outdoor weight room. It was very unique, and it was so cool, and we had a great system. It really was. It will be missed. It really was. Hopefully it comes back.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, and at this point, I mean, are you surprised? I was like shocked today. I was like, wow.
Well, we were texting back and forth, and I'm like, Mike, there's no way.
Yeah, because
Mike's coming back.
Yeah, you're telling me, that sounds like clickbait. It's no way. I mean, I don't know what you've heard between now and then, but I was pretty positive because you sounded positive. I was like, I was talking to my buddy in California. He texted me, he goes, wow, XFL ceasing operations just like that. I mean, he was a big fan. He was watching. He lived by the stadium out there where they played, and I was like, nah. I talked to my buddy. He feels like that this was just like a formality to stop paying the players. I was pretty positive because you sounded positive.
Well, if you think, and yeah, I'm sorry for being misleading, Mike, but I thought I have an inside track on everything, and it's just crazy, right? Because you heard Vince McMahon, 3 seasons are guaranteed, everybody. And then the off season, great. The coronavirus stopped it, but a great product. You have a team that went 5-0 in Houston, and then you have a bunch of teams that were competing. And it's just crazy to think that it just couldn't survive and give it another year. And it makes you wonder, right? Do they know something we don't know, like medically for the future for these pro teams? Vince McMahon is very dialed in. And again, this is my opinion, and whatever that's for. He's very dialed into everything, right? He's Mr. New York. He's got WWE. They're very successful. He's a very smart businessman. He's the only person that can make a team, a minor league football league, work, and it did work. So it makes it seem like, are these other leagues going to happen? Are we going to have an MLB? I don't know. That's the debate on your show every day. I don't think the NBA can go on. Can the NHL go on? Can these things, March Madness, cancel completely? Obviously, that was happening right in the heart of all of it. But we have no idea. Is the NFL going to get pushed back? And then what? The XFL's got to start in April of next year. How does that work? So,
well, the reports are essentially that the pandemic it basically drained the XFL's funds. Like that this coming in basically was a catastrophe for a startup league.
Yeah, and like John said, it's just, even though it was so well done, still can't overcome it. It's a shame because there is a ton of actually people in South Jersey that I've met, people in the Philadelphia area that I met. There's a ton of really smart football people in that league. My defense coordinator was Jerry Glanville. I got to talk to Jerry Glanville every day. I mean, it was a treat. It was an absolute treat. I absolutely loved it. Mark Treston was our head coach. He had a ton of great stories from the CFL and coaching the Bears, and he was Jerry Rice's quarterback. He was a quarterback coach for the Raiders when Jerry Rice was there. We're watching old Niners film. Like, it was just a unique experience. Try to make the best of all of it. I've lost my job in football the last 2 years, and I had 2 great experiences in Birmingham and the XFL. It's a shame it bolted. It really did. Hopefully it comes back, but it's just not looking so bright.
Yeah, I mean, the one scenario I threw John's way was, what if a television network stepped up and said, look, we want the product. We're going to pay you for it. I mean, maybe that's a scenario that happens, but outside of that happening, it doesn't sound good, man. And, obviously I went home for lunch today, and I said to my girlfriend, I said, you met Heidi, and I said, do you believe that Colin is in a league again, that this happened? And she was like, you're kidding me. I said, yeah, the freaking league just folded out of nowhere. After I said, I just talked to him Monday about this, everything was going. And I guess this would have been the last week of the regular season?
Yes, we would have been playing at home in Raymond James Stadium, hot and stinky in Tampa. We'd be playing the New York Guardians, the quote-unquote team of New Jersey there.
Yeah.
And we lost them to open the season, and we found our mojo. We were trending in the right direction, and it probably would have been a game for a playoff spot because there's only 4 teams per division. And they take the top 2 teams of each division. So it's not a crazy, struggle to get in the playoffs, and, half the league makes it. So would have been probably a playoff spot, would have been coming up. Spring training would have been over, and you would think maybe the crowds would come out to the game and probably hit that 25,000 number that we were close to on opening day. So, I've only been positive to say my biggest testament to the fans was it was a Sunday night game. We're 0-3. We're playing DC, which is a pretty hot team. They had that great Week 1 win over Seattle that everyone kind of remembers. It was just kind of chaotic. People were cursing on live TV. A punt was blocked. The fans are crazy in D.C. in that small stadium. We're 0-3. We come back to home to Tampa and Raymond James there, where the Bucs play, like I said. And we had 15,000 people on a Sunday night at a 7 o'clock game. There's plenty to do in Florida on a Sunday. Spring training, the beach, etc. To come to an XFL game, you get 15,000 strong, going crazy, loud. They had to use a silent cadence. So it was pretty cool. And to continue to play professionally is humbling and honor. Actually, I found out I got drafted by the Vipers when I was coaching 7th and 8th grade football at Lower Cape May High School, now where I'm coaching varsity with Coach Lance Bailey. Shout out to Lance and Scotty Holden. I know you guys are listening. Scott's the basketball coach down there, too. So, yeah, man, crazy stuff, crazy full circle. That I'm back playing pro football again, and it's folded, but hope to get back in the league. I'm still training full time and have some things rumbling with the NFL as well, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Colin Thompson, the Tampa Vipers, and he will be back. I guess you're going to be now that this is happening. What's the plan? You coming home or what?
Oh yeah, I'm in Florida right now, just training my off, trying to stay in shape and get ready to go. When this NFL thing lifts, I'm assuming there's going to be mass workouts to fill these rosters, so hopefully I'll be in one of those.
Yeah.
And then, when this lifts, I'm driving home, and I'm going to be training down there in Cape May and coaching football at Lower Cape May Regional, and Lance Bailey just did a job down there, so we're excited for some new chapters and new culture there. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun and get involved in the community of Cape May. It's some great people. My mom is down there on the Cape May Mall, so it's become a home for me, and I pretty much live there year-round when I'm not playing football.
All right, man. Well, we'll be in touch, and I'll try to hook up with you this weekend about some stuff next week that I got planned, and we'll stay in touch.
Love the show today, Mike. Have a good one, buddy. Stay safe.
All right, Colin Thompson, the XFL folds. By the way, this was Field Yates, ESPN. He's one of the guys that broke the news. He said this.
My sense is that the XFL as we know it is now over, and that unfortunately is not the news anybody wanted to hear, because the league seemed to have done a nice job of building some momentum during the short period of games we had in this late winter and early spring as well. So I think the XFL probably has to go into hibernation, and I don't know that they're necessarily going to call us or announce today that the league is done, but I don't get the sense that we'll see XFL football in 2021, and it may be fit that this league may need to eventually reboot later on down the road.
Yeah, it doesn't sound promising there, but he did say something at the end there. Maybe reboot down the road. Maybe they take 1 year off and then reboot it again. But, keep in mind, these guys' lives 2 years down the road, 2 years older, all that stuff. But we hope to see that league back. Colin was always fun watching him. He made that catch where he flies out of midair and catches the ball. That was one of the plays of the year.